The sun was dipping below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quiet suburban street as the familiar hum of Austin's car filled the driveway. I had been staying with my daughter Annie and her husband for the summer, and with each passing day, I found myself drawn to Austin more than I should have been. It was an uncomfortable truth, one that I tried to push down, but his quiet strength and the way he carried himself made it difficult to ignore. I stood in the kitchen, a wooden spoon in hand, stirring the beef bourguignon I had spent the better part of the afternoon preparing. The rich aroma filled the air, a comforting distraction from the tension that had been building within me. I heard the front door open, and I turned to greet him, a smile spreading across my face. "Austin, you're home," I said, trying to keep my voice casual. "I thought I'd make your favorite. Beef bourguignon." He raised an eyebrow, pausing in the doorway. "Annie's favorite, you mean," he corrected gently, but there was a hint of unease in his voice. I waved a hand dismissively, turning back to the stove. "Same thing, isn't it? You both enjoy it so much." From the corner of my eye, I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he avoided my gaze. I knew I made him nervous, and a part of me thrilled at the power I held over him. It wasn't that I wanted to make him uncomfortable, I just wanted him to see me, to acknowledge the connection that seemed to simmer beneath the surface. "Where is Annie?" he asked, setting his briefcase down on the counter. His voice was steady, but I could hear the undercurrent of tension. "She's working late tonight," I replied, focusing on the stew as if it required all my attention. "Some big project deadline. It's just you and me for dinner." The room fell silent except for the gentle bubbling of the stew. I could feel his eyes on me, and I smiled to myself, a mix of excitement and guilt churning in my stomach. I knew I was playing with fire, but I couldn't help it. There was something about Austin that drew me in, something that made me want to push the boundaries, to see how far I could go before he acknowledged the spark between us. Over the next few weeks, I found myself becoming more persistent. I made subtle comments about his appearance, always on the lookout for opportunities to be near him. I could see the effect I had on him, the way he would tense up when I was close, the way his eyes would linger on me when he thought I wasn't looking. It was a dangerous game, one that I knew could have serious consequences, but I couldn't seem to stop myself. One evening, I found him in the living room, a book in his lap. Annie was out with friends, and I had taken the opportunity to make dinner for the two of us. I handed him a glass of wine, my fingers brushing against his for a moment longer than necessary. I sat down next to him on the couch, close enough. "Austin," I said, my voice soft and deliberate. "I feel like you're holding back. Why is that?" He took a sip of the wine, stalling for time. I could see the conflict in his eyes, the way he struggled with his feelings. "What makes you think I'm holding back, Mom?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. I leaned in slightly, my voice low. Us. There's something here, Austin. You can't deny it forever." He looked away, his jaw tightening. "Mom, I don't know what you want me to say." I reached out to him. "I just want you to be honest with yourself. With me." He took a deep breath, his eyes meeting mine briefly before he looked away again. "I can't do this, Mom," he said, his voice firm but gentle. "I'm sorry." I looked up at him, disappointment and determination warring within me. "You can't run forever, Austin," I said softly. "Sooner or later, you're going to have to face what you really want." As he stood up, setting the wine glass down on the table, I knew that I had crossed a line, but I also knew that I couldn't turn back now. The complex web of emotions that came with it had taken hold, and I was determined to see it through, no matter the cost. I knew I was pushing him, but I couldn't help it. I wanted him, and I was determined to make him see that he wanted me too. I was acutely aware that I was treading on dangerous ground, but the pull I felt towards Austin was too strong to ignore. I was in too deep, and though I knew I should turn back, I found myself unable to resist the current that was drawing us together. One afternoon, Austin was working from home, his laptop set up on the kitchen table. I was outside by the pool, soaking up the sun and stealing glances at him through the window. His brow was furrowed in concentration, and I could see the tension in his shoulders. I waved at him, inviting him to join me. He hesitated, then closed his laptop and headed outside. He sat down on the lounger next to mine, and I reached out, placing a hand on his arm. You seem stressed, I said, my voice filled with concern. Let me help you relax. I moved behind him, my hands finding his shoulders. I began to rub gently, feeling the tension easing from his body. It was a simple gesture, innocent on the surface, but I knew that it was anything but. I could feel the strength of his muscles, and it thrilled me. Feels better, right? I asked softly, leaning in. He nodded silently, his eyes closed. I could see the conflict in his expression, the way he struggled with his feelings, but I knew I had to be patient. I had to let him come to me. Caroline, he said suddenly, his voice hoarse. He pulled away, his heart racing. We can't do this. Not here, not now. I smiled, trying to hide my frustration. Then where, Austin? When? He stood up, his body trembling with a mix of nervousness and fear. I don't know. I need to think. I nodded, watching as he left me by the pool. I knew I was pushing him, but I also knew that he was feeling the same pull that I was. It was only a matter of time before he admitted it to himself. One night, Annie was out of town for a work conference. The house was quiet, the air thick with the things we weren't saying. I found Austin in the living room, trying to lose himself in a book. I sat down next to him, wearing a loose silk robe that I knew flattered me. I could feel his eyes on me, could feel the tension. Austin, I said, my voice soft but firm. Look at me. He hesitated, then did as I asked. I could see the way he struggled to keep his glances in check. I leaned closer. I could feel the connection between us. Mom, he whispered, his voice hoarse. We can't. I silenced him with a gentle touch. We can do whatever we want, Austin, I said. It's just you and me here. No one has to know. I could see the struggle in his eyes, the war between his impulse and his loyalty to Annie. I knew I was asking him to cross a line, to betray the woman he loved, but I also knew that he wanted me, that he was drawn to me in a way that he couldn't deny. I stood up, holding out my hand to him. He hesitated for a moment, then took it, allowing me to lead him upstairs. My heart was racing with anticipation and fear, a mix of emotions that was almost overwhelming. I knew this was wrong, but I also knew that I couldn't deny the way I felt. All I knew was that I wanted him. Afterward, as we lay side by side in the dim light of the room, I felt a mix of emotions. There was guilt, heavy and oppressive, for what I had done, for the betrayal I had orchestrated. There was fear, too. Fear of the potential fallout, of the pain that we might cause Annie, of the consequences that were sure to come. But there was also a sense of inevitability, as if this was meant to happen, as if we were powerless to resist the force that had drawn us together. I looked at Austin, his expression filled with a mix of emotions that mirrored my own. I could see the guilt, the fear, the uncertainty, but I could also see the longing, the connection that we shared. Don't regret this, Austin, I said, my tone serious. We can't change what's happened. All we can do is move forward. He nodded, reaching out to take my hand. In that moment, I knew that he was in this with me, for better or for worse. We were in too deep, and there was no turning back. And so, we began our secret relationship, a thrilling yet precarious dance. We were always mindful of Annie, always aware of the risks. We shared moments together when we could, always careful to maintain the facade of normality. It was a dangerous game, one that could unravel at any moment. But despite the complications, despite the guilt and the fear, I couldn't deny the truth. I was happy, truly happy, for the first time in a long time. I had found something with Austin that I had never expected to find, something that I was determined to hold on to, no matter the cost. But even as I reveled in our newfound connection, I knew that the clock was ticking. I knew that eventually we would have to face the consequences of our actions. I just didn't know when or how it would all come crashing down.